What happens if North America's biggest trade deal teeters, while Ottawa's first new fighter jet in a generation is caught in the crosswinds, and the Sens are quietly heating up at just the right time? Claude Giroux doesn't do quiet. With just over 5 minutes left, he muscled through a trip by Erik Karlsson, jammed the puck across the line before the net popped off, and the Senators snapped Pittsburgh's 6-game win streak 3-2. After review, the goal stood. Giroux now ties Alex Ovechkin for the most points against the Penguins by an active player, 78 in 72 games with 23 goals. Tim Stützle scored in his third straight. Michael Amadio ended his drought since December, and Linus Ullmark needed just 14 saves as Ottawa outshot Pittsburgh 31-16, including a 9-3 second-period clampdown. For the Pens, newcomer Egor Chinakhov had a goal and an assist, but Ottawa's fourth straight win feels like a little momentum machine finally humming. Closer to home, a gift that pays forward for generations. 91 hectares of the Marlborough wetland in South Ottawa will be protected in perpetuity. The late Doug Smith's family donated the land through the Federal Ecological Gifts Program, and the Nature Conservancy of Canada will steward it long-term. Wetlands are natural sponges, soaking up snowmelt and stormwater, reducing flood risks for nearby communities, and sheltering countless species. In a province where many southern wetlands have been paved or plowed, restoring this landscape is a tangible climate and biodiversity win. Timely, too. It comes as World Wetlands Day spotlights how protections for some Ontario wetlands have slipped in recent years. Now to the trade story with stakes for every paycheck and price tag in this country. With a July 1st deadline looming, renewal talks for the USMCA CUSUMA in Canada are stalled. President Donald Trump has publicly played down the deal's value to the U.S., while U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says Washington should only renew if specific American concerns are met. The math is stark. This pact underpins over $1.9 trillion in North American trade. If it lapses, tariff exemptions vanish for more than 90% of Canadian exports and 84% of Mexican exports headed to the U.S. That would raise costs on everything from auto parts to farm goods, with ripple effects in the capital region's logistics hubs and tech manufacturers. Ottawa and Washington talks have been delayed amid spiking tensions and other international commitments for Prime Minister Mark Carney. The clock is ticking, and companies are gaming out contingency plans. Small businesses in British Columbia are already flinching. A new survey says 2/3 of BC small firms are scaling back U.S.-related activity. 45% report thinner margins from tariffs and disruptions, and roughly 28% have eaten between $26,000 and $100,000 in extra fees. But over half expect to raise prices within 6 months. That's the squeeze. Less cross-border opportunity, higher sticker shock at home. Meanwhile, Canada's fighter jet transition is hitting a symbolic milestone in Texas. The RCAF will put pen to metal, literally, signing the fuselage bulkhead of our first F-35 as it nears final assembly on Lockheed Martin's line in Fort Worth. Delivery is due later this year, but the bigger program is under review, clouded by trade and political tensions with the U.S. The government has contracted 16 jets, with a decision pending on 72 more in a package tagged at about $27 billion. President Trump has threatened tariffs on Canadian-made aircraft and even all Canadian imports if Ottawa inks certain deals with China. The bottom line, a modern air fleet is coming, but the scale and speed could hinge on trade leverage as much as procurement schedules. Political temperature check. Former Prime Ministers Stephen Harper and Jean Chrétien shared a rare stage to stress something simple and hard: national unity. Harper clarified he did not sign an Alberta referendum petition and recounted a conversation with a Quebec separatist who conceded that given global volatility, sticking together might be the smarter play. Chrétien argued we're living through a shift as U.S. global dominance ebbs, but Canada's position, resources, institutions, alliances, remains strong if we keep our house in order. That message lands amid fresh separatist chatter. In a combustible twist, BC Premier David Eby blasted Alberta separatists as committing treason for courting U.S. financial backing, Specifically, a reported request for a $500 billion U.S. line of credit to support an independence bid. The U.S. State Department confirms meetings happened, with no commitments made. Former Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says UCP caucus members should have no part in a separation petition. Lawyer Jeff Rath for the group claims some have signed but won't name names. Premier Danielle Smith says members can sign any petition they want, adding she's unaware of signatures inside the caucus. The rhetoric is hot. The consequences, if it ever went beyond rhetoric, would be hotter. There's also a travel caution you may not have seen. Several Indigenous organizations in Canada, including the Okanagan Nation Alliance, have issued advisories urging Indigenous travelers to use extra care at the U.S. border, citing concerns about wrongful detentions and harassment by ICE. The Assembly of First Nations recommends carrying both a status card and a passport. Some BC First Nations have canceled trips outright. It's especially complex because the Jay Treaty recognizes certain border rights for Indigenous people, rights now colliding with a tense political climate. On the economic front, he tastes every morning. Coffee prices in Canada jumped an average of 31% year-over-year in December, far outpacing overall food inflation. Even as our coffee habits hold steady, extreme weather linked to climate change, droughts, heat waves, has squeezed harvests and pushed bean prices higher. Ottawa cafes are trying to balance supply with a price-sensitive winter crowd. If you're brewing at home, buying in larger formats or exploring blends from multiple origins can soften the hit. A quick diplomatic shuffle with defense overtones. Former cabinet minister and Toronto police chief Bill Blair has resigned his seat to become Canada's High Commissioner to the UK, effective this spring. The PMO lauded his years of public service. Blair served as defense minister before moving to the backbenches after Prime Minister Carney's swearing in. Nathalie Drouin will head to Paris as our next ambassador to France. Both postings come as Ottawa seeks deeper partnerships on trade, investment, and defense, relationships that matter more if USMCA talks stay bumpy. Ottawa weather, around minus 10 degrees Celsius today, a daytime high near minus 5 and a low near minus 20, with light snow. Before we go, one quick tech note for local businesses navigating these headwinds. Off-the-shelf AI tools can stress test your pricing and inventory against tariff scenarios and shipping delays, and forecast cash flow under different exchange rates. A few hours of setup can help you make faster, less risky decisions if trade conditions whipsaw. That's all for today. If you're heading to the CTC, enjoy that Sens surge. And if you're heading out on the trails near Marlborough, tread lightly and take in a wetland gift that just became forever.